when you're ready.
Okay, we're just going through as far as we can. Or
I'll stop you.
Okay, fine. Right, you ready? Stop here? Okay. Hello, I'm Peter Scott, and I work for Whitman Mead as Principal Consultant. I've been working in information technology now for quite a long time, 25 years or so, and most of that time, well, half is probably getting on towards most, in data management, data warehousing, business intelligence, handling large amounts of data and its effective processing. I've been with Whitman Mead since the company started. I was one of the first employees, and I specialise in data warehousing, data warehouse design, performance management, a lot of the nuts and bolts that underpin BI. Today I'm going to be doing a presentation on effective real-time tuning. So what I'm going to talk about is basically these three steps in our presentation. Why do we do real-time? Who and where of the real-time tuning, that is, who does it, where does it happen, which parts of the process. And then the main part of the presentation is going to be effective real-time tuning, where I'm going to give you some tips and techniques, things that I've done in the past that have worked for me, things that will help you develop efficient and well-performing real-time systems. So, let's get started on to the main part of the presentation. I see there's three main use cases in real time. We need to get information from other systems as quickly as possible, and that's for many reasons. One reason is that a lot of businesses now are working 24/7 days. They're working round the globe, needing to report on information all the time. And those traditional batch windows that I had when I started out in technology, where we had a half a day to load information, typically from whenever we went home at night or first thing in the morning, those time periods have gone. We need to have information in as quickly as possible so that businesses can report on it and see it as it throughout their working day without any disruption. Likewise, the volume of data we're loading now is significantly more. We used to load just a few items, but now we're loading web feeds, we're loading all types of information. This large amount of data has to be processed, and that takes time to do, and you can't necessarily do it in the old batch style paradigms. You have to do it in some real-time feed so you can trickle the information in. And one of the key drivers for this is people need to react to information as it happens. So when you have an event happening, you need to see it in your data warehouse as soon as possible. People want to react on the now. They don't want to look at last week's information or last month's information. They're driven on what's going on. So, why real time? As I was saying, one of the things we have is things are happening, they go into a report, and there's this process. How this process happens, I think the answer to that is simply, this is how, no, that is not how it happens. What we actually do is a system of data propagation and data aggregation. This is the real world model of how things happen. We have a flow from here through to here. The length of that arrow is something which I call latency. It's the time taken for information to happen from here, where things are happening, to when they can be reported on. And that's one of the key things that we need to do. So, the aim of this presentation is to make the arrow as short as possible. We want to make that shrink to as small a time as possible. We can't make it disappear because there are processes that we have to do. We have to physically do things, and that's always going to take time. But what I'm going to talk to you about is ways we can reduce that time period. So, as I said, on the arrow, the first step we have is data propagation. By that, I mean we're capturing the information, we're sending it from one system to another, and then we're getting those changes into some sort of staging layer so that we can process it. Then, following that, we have what I call data aggregation, which is just basically summing things up, putting things together, and we're consolidating that information in a form so it's ready to be reported. And then we publish that out to the reporting layer. So, which one of those is a challenge? Is it the first step, the data propagation? Because after all, it must be complicated getting things from somewhere else to where we are. Or is it this step here? My personal feeling is that the challenge that we have is in here, the applying the change, the aggregation, the publishing, getting that information in a form that can be used by the people who are using a real-time system. This is a matter of nuts and bolts of technology. There are things that we can do to make it better, but it's purely mechanical. This needs a little bit more thought and a little more creativity. But one of the key things I need to tell you about real-time is not all your data is going to be real-time. Do not make a data warehouse where everything runs for real, because that is not how things are.